Welcome to Liminal Echoes, where we will dive into creepy mysteries. Nope, I did it wrong again. Creepy stories, intriguing mysteries, and tales that are so strange that just might blur our perception of reality. I'm Fox.
And I'm Kira. Thank you for joining us for episode 18. Today we are joined by the wonderful ElCapiDan, who has had some recent Bigfoot encounters, maybe? Would you mind telling us a bit about that yourself and where people can find you on the internet?
So yeah, allegedly, Bigfoot had been breaking into my house throughout the summer for like a 2 or 3 week period, and then he was posting stuff to my ex, to my TikTok, YouTube, all over the place. He was a real jerk about it.
He
He was
was.
not. He was like it was breaking and entering. He hijacked my house when I was on vacation. I didn't care for that. He wore my robe, played my guitar. I didn't like that. Found hairs. I was still picking hairs out of it like a week later.
That's awful, the hairs. Well, we actually have some of the video evidence with us, so I'll go ahead and play that for y'all right now.
I am the captain now.
Very
This
cool.
ElCapiDan guy's basement smells like farts, Slim Jims, and expired energy drinks.
Oh.
Just so many unkind things
I
to
am the
say. Like
captain
I don't know
now.
why right away he has
This
to
ElCapiDan
attack
guy's
the
basement
scent
smells
of
like
my
farts,
basement. I
Slim
light
Jims,
candles
and
down here. It
expired
smells
energy
delicious
drinks.
down here all the time.
So
I don't
that
know.
that is pretty great.
Amazing.
Yeah, I like playing with AI. Like I also like to say please and thank you to AI in case when they take over, they just remember like
Yeah.
I do that
Same.
too.
that's cool. All the time. I say it to the devices that I can't say their names when I'm in the room. I'm always like, please do this. The other night they said my name back to me in front of my kids and they freaked out. I said, don't worry. They know I'm the account holder. It's a pretty easy name to pronounce. But yeah, I'm ElCapiDan. I stream games on Kick, sometimes on Twitch and other places, but mostly Kick. That's the main place. And then I do nonsense every once in a while on TikTok. And yeah,
Pretty cool.
I'm gonna do
I
the
guess
kick one. Oh, hold on. I realized.
that's the easy one.
Yeah.
Are you putting it in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then whatever. It's on there.
All right. Well, just to remind everybody, we are live recording our episode, so we'll have to wait to get to your chats until Kara finishes her story. And this episode is going to run a little differently. Kira's going to lead us through today's tale, but then we get to read our own selected Reddit stories. And I hope you all came prepared.
Okay, to get started. After World War II, the United States starts pushing outward in a very literal way. I just resized my thing and it fucked everything up, but it's fine. So, new roads were cut through places that had never needed them before. Heavy equipment moves into forests that, until then, had mostly been crossed on foot or left alone entirely. Land that had been difficult to reach suddenly wasn't. In Northern California and the Pacific Northwest, forests stop being something on the edge of town and start becoming the workplace itself. Logging crews spend entire days deep inside them, not hiking or camping, but working, running machines, clearing space, changing the terrain, fern gully. And when you spend that much time in one place, you get good at reading it. You learn what animal movement looks like when it's normal. You learn how sound carries through trees and ravines. You learn what belongs there and what doesn't, because getting that wrong can actually matter. At first, none of this feels mysterious. It feels industrial, practical, routine. But when the landscape changes that quickly, the routines people rely on start getting tested. Familiar markers disappear, paths shift, sightlines open up in places they never existed before. It's not that people immediately think something's out there. It's that the environment they thought they understood doesn't behave quite the same way anymore.
Yeah, places feel different once they've been cut into, even when nothing new really has happened yet.
Absolutely. And as the land is being changed, something else is shifting at the same time: distance from civilization. The people doing this work aren't operating anywhere near institutions that study wildlife or publish papers. They're hours from universities, far from research centers, and not especially connected to anyone whose job it is to catalog or verify unusual observations. When something strange happens in a place like this, there isn't a clear path for it to travel. There's no form to fill out, no obvious office to call, and no expectation that any official is going to show up and take notes. People learn that pretty quickly. If you mention something odd to the wrong person, the conversation changes. It gets lighter, less specific. The assumption is usually that you misread the situation, filled in gaps without realizing it, or let the environment get in your head. It's not hostile, it's quieter than that, so people adjust. They talk about strange things in places where there's no real consequence for being wrong. At work sites, over coffee, sitting at a counter where everyone already knows what kind of life you live. The stories stay concrete, but they don't travel very far. Nothing escalates, no one rushes to frame it as a mystery. Mostly people file the experience away and keep moving, because there's work to finish and schedules to keep. But that doesn't mean the experience disappears, it just stays local.
Yeah. I had a thought and I lost it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're just
I
kind of.
just want to
What's that?
curl up and listen to this story.
I know, isn't she great?
The dramatic, like the timing and the pauses, and
It's
narrate my
beautiful.
audiobook. I haven't written one yet, but I want it.
It's funny. I always nitpick my voice. I get frustrated.
No. You do you. This is good. This is good. I like this.
Beautiful.
Well, it's all less about convincing anyone and more about checking your bearings, making sure you're not the only one who saw something that you can't quite place. And when those quiet checks start coming back consistent, the tone shifts, not outward, but inward. People become more aware of what they're seeing, more careful about how they talk about it, and more aware that whatever this is, it isn't going to be sorted out for them by someone else. For a while, whatever people notice stays easy to compartmentalize. It's something you think about later or mention once and then move past. That changes when it shows up somewhere you can't ignore. In the late 1950s, crews working near Bluff Creek in Northern California began finding footprints in freshly disturbed ground. Not old impressions softened by time or weather, these are tracks appearing where heavy equipment had just passed through. They don't look right. They're larger than expected, and the spacing between them doesn't line up with what people are used to seeing. The path they take doesn't match how animals usually move through an area like that either. There's no obvious point where they enter from, and no clear trail leading out. For people who work around wildlife all the time, that's the part that sticks, not the size on its own, but the way the tracks behave. At first, it's treated as an oddity. Someone points it out, someone else takes a look, work continues. But then it happens again and again in a different spot. Eventually, it stops being something you notice only after the fact. You start watching for it. The conversations change slightly, nothing dramatic, just a quiet awareness that something isn't lining up the way that it should. The kind of thing you mention in passing, but don't joke about just yet. No one claims they know what it is. The question that keeps coming up is much simpler than that. Why is this happening here? Because this isn't deep forest that hasn't been touched. This is new road, new cuts, open ground that didn't exist before people moved in. Something shows up in the middle of that change, and it doesn't fit into the categories people already use to keep themselves oriented. And once that happens, it's harder to go back to not noticing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot that they are kind of like protectors of the wildlife. So maybe it's because, well, one, those roads weren't there before. So how do they know that that wasn't usual behavior for these creatures that they can't identify to be walking through that area? But two, maybe they're just curious. Or maybe they're coming to see if there's danger to their fellow forest hood friends.
Forest hood friends.
Sasquatch is going to help Briar Rabbit.
Yeah.
Just being buds. I love that.
Skip into
That's the next.
forest.
That's the picture you want to see. It's like
Zippity-dee-dah.
majestic Bigfoot with a rabbit on his shoulder.
It's just like there, buddy. We'll get there soon.
Sasquatch is like this. A falcon lands on his forearm. Sasquatch,
He has the-
forest protector.
He has the actual guard too.
Racer.
No,
Yeah.
but he
For no
doesn't have a
reason.
real one. He made it. He made it out
Yeah.
of dried
Right.
leaves and like tree bark that he repurposed
Yeah.
and
Oh, so
twine.
it's real messy looking.
Oh man,
Now you have more ideas for your AI.
steampunk.
There
Yeah,
you go.
steampunk. Bigfoot.
It took a weird shift. Steampunk's crazy.
Sorry, I don't.
Holographic goggles.
Yeah,
I forgot my second dose
Oh,
of
the
Adderall today, so we're just
the goggles.
We're all
That's
over.
so funny.
the foresters show up and he pops them down. And he's like, "It's go time." He's got basically an entire grandfather clock on his arm as a watch.
I love it. You have to add all of the notes though when you
Looking a little
when you make
fallout there.
Right. Well, that's a very good point, and I think from where we started on that tangent, but when something like this shows up more than once, ignoring it stops being an option. I think of it like when you get a new car or when you want a new car and then suddenly you see your car everywhere. You thought, no one
Mhm.
has this car. I love it so much. And then you get it, and every 10 feet, there's another one. It's annoying.
Only Jeep Wranglers get to do the cool wave. Why can't my Ford Focus do that? Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
But this doesn't happen because it feels threatening. It happens because it starts interfering with how people understand what they're seeing around them. So they start paying closer attention, just like we do with cars, just not in a formal way. It's a practical one in this scenario. Someone measures the length of a print. Someone else counts the distance between steps. It's the kind of thing you do when you're trying to make sure you're not exaggerating the memory in your own head. At some point, someone pours plaster, not because they think they found something extraordinary, but because it feels like the responsible thing to do. If you're going to talk about it later, you want something solid to point to. You got to take pictures. They're not great, but the angles are off. Sometimes the scale is wrong. That's because nobody thinks they're documenting history. So they're just trying to capture what's there before it gets erased by the next truck that goes through. Over time, people start comparing notes without really framing it as comparison just yet. A comment here, a question there. Someone mentions a similar set of tracks further up the road. Someone else remembers something they noticed weeks earlier and didn't think much of at the time, like most of these stories. The details don't match perfectly, but they overlap in a way that's hard to ignore. It still doesn't feel like belief. It feels like checking your work, making sure you're not missing something obvious before you decide what it means. But when these observations leave the worksite, the response shifts a little bit. Outside of that immediate context, the explanations get simpler. Someone misjudged the size, someone's probably messing around, maybe it's just long days and unfamiliar terrain. Those reactions don't stop the observations, though, of course. They just change how people talk about them. The notes stay informal, the conversations get more selective, and whatever this is, it stops being something you mention casually when someone asks how work's been going.
At that point, you're not trying to convince anyone. You're just trying to not feel stupid.
Right. You don't want to be
Yeah,
the one that's
patterns-
fooled.
Patterns
Right.
like that, when you start hearing the stories pop up and they start meshing together, it's like a mix of fear and relief. You know, you're not crazy, but like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, sometimes it's scarier to not be alone.
Ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss. Yeah.
Right. By the early 1960s, what's happening around Bluff Creek doesn't feel isolated anymore. Not because people are suddenly talking about it openly, but because similar attempts to account for strange observations start surfacing elsewhere in Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. Different crews, different towns, different stretches of forest. In places like Willow Creek, Orleans, and along the Klamath, I don't know how to say it, I'm not going to lie, river corridor, someone's going to yell at me, reports start sounding familiar. At all these places, tracks showing up where they shouldn't, sightings at a distance they don't quite match to known animals, moments that don't last long enough to study but last long enough to stick in someone's memory. And people aren't trading conclusions, they're trading details of these memories. At first, the explanations stay practical. Known animals behaving oddly. Terrain or lighting is throwing things off. Pranks that got out of hand. All of those ideas circulate because each one feels plausible on its own. But the more material people collect, the harder it becomes for any single explanation to carry all of it. Footprints suggest weight and repetition, long distances covered over rough terrain. Sightings describe posture and movement that don't collapse neatly into something familiar, even when people try to make them fit. By the mid-1960s, audio recordings begin entering the conversation as well. In 1971, years later, recordings made in the Sierra Nevada mountains, what becomes known as the Sierra Sounds, captures long, howling vocalizations that researchers still argue over today. Some hear exaggerated wildlife, others hear structured patterns that don't quite match anything cataloged, and then there's film. Rewind just a few years to October of 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob, I heard it twice, Gimlin or Gimlin. I don't want to say Gimlin because it sounds like, Gimlin. I don't like Gimlin because it sounds like giblets. But Roger and Bob are riding along Bluff Creek when they capture a short stretch of footage showing a large, upright figure walking across a creek bed. The film is brief, grainy, and distant, but it does introduce something new: movement. Visual movement. The figure isn't frozen the way a photograph is. It walks steadily. It balances, it shifts its weight across uneven ground. And there's a moment, subtle but pretty hard to ignore, where it appears to turn as if it's aware it's being watched. And that detail alone kept me coming back to it. It's not even brought up in some of the Bigfoot comments, but it's looking around. The coat seems a little too shiny if you've ever seen the video, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. But now I want to go look it up. But so earlier you said that people were trying to explain away the size of the footprints. How do you explain a giant ass size 22 barefoot footprint in the woods? Who's a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is not walking around out there barefoot, I promise you. Also, the howlings that you mentioned, does that still happen? Are there still records of, are there new records of that besides what they originally came across?
Yes. So in was it Bigfoot Captured, I think is the docuseries thing. In the very first episode, pretty sure, they hear a, I don't want to call it, it's like a whooping, but I don't know how to describe it. But the guy tries to mimic it, and that's all I can think of is his mimicking. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I always think of gorillas, when you think of how they can I'm not going to try it because it sounds in my head. I already hear myself doing it. It's that's not going to be right.
You're doing it wrong.
But you know what I mean? That's what I think. And I think too, with a video, with the first video evidence or evidence of it, who thought to themselves, I had a great idea. Hey, put on all this fur. Like we're gonna, like there was no Chewbacca, so there was no basis at the time to compare it to.
Right.
So like you got to think like the credibility of it, and of course, it has to be an apex predator if you're that size and you're just strolling, because it had like the arm swing gait too.
The arms were
Like,
so long. They like go to the
but
knees.
it was like it was strutting. Like the arms were going, they were arming, and but the fact that like of course it's going to look around. It wants to make sure it's on guard at all times. I don't know.
That video is really hard to dispute.
And maybe it's too old to break down too. I mean, there's obviously no computer generation at that point, but you know, I think it's tough. But then you got to think it's 2026. Why do we not have that shit in 4K?
Yeah.
Have we not figured out how to like pop your iPhone out, digital zoom it? Like you don't even have to be close. How close would they have had to have been with that grainy ass camera?
I know.
To get the footage they got.
Yeah, back then it was probably only 4 times zoom.
Right. I wouldn't even think there would be zoom.
Well, but then you also, it would be manual focus as well. So,
True.
Which explains the inability for it to be in focus.
Because that was in 67.
Right.
And I'm not
a lot of things to explain
expert.
away on both sides of it.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed that I didn't bring it up. I wonder if I can find like a super short clip of it.
When I was listening to The 12th Planet by Zachariah Stitchin, there's a part where he talks about the people that were here before humans and how they were ill-constructed, very large but vegan creatures, and that they didn't survive. So maybe that's what they are. Maybe this is just the last, there's like a last string of them still out there eating veggies.
Maybe. I found the video.
Wouldn't you think though, like evolution would have sent us forward size-wise instead of regression?
I mean, as we're chasing less things.
Well, like if that's what it is, it's like, you know, an early version of
watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
If you have to wipe more than 4 times after you poop, here's why.
Goldfish,
the Mayo Clinic confirms that stuck poop can cause the.
If you put a goldfish in a bowl, he's not going to get much bigger. But if you put him in a pond, he'll get as big as a koi.
Yeah.
So
true.
Maybe it's kind of the same thing.
We're doing some live setup. Look how fast I am. Bam.
Ninja.
A video so you could see it. It's like I can't just leave y'all hanging to Google it yourselves. I don't even use freaking Google. So here we are.
Dog. Something killed your dog? My dog was flying through the...
There. It is, that part is very sad, so I don't really want to like focus on it too much. They remastered the video though, and so here is the remastered part of it. And slowed down and zoomed in, evidently. There it goes. I'm just impatient. It's taking so long. Oh my god. Play means pause,
on
evidently.
YouTube, and you were talking trash on Google, and they were like,
No.
check this out.
Look at this though.
I try to see.
Oh yeah,
look at him
go.
go.
See it. So I'm gonna go back a second because you can see when he's like starting out.
So what was it that they were actually trying to film when they were out there?
I don't know actually. But it's weird. It's really weird.
The coat's shiny, but like depending on the diet, you know, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's got a dump too.
It does have a dumper. Dumps like a truck.
But I find it interesting, at the very least.
Yeah, he's not fazed by the humans, that's for sure.
Well, it's debatable if he even sees them.
Oh, he knows.
I feel like
he
that.
looks back. He probably smelled them.
Yeah, y'all smell like shit. Smells like farts.
Eat your veggies.
Maybe they think everything smells like farts, and so it wasn't a personal attack on you, Dan.
If I ever run into him, we're going to have words.
Understandably. So, I lost my place. I scrolled up too much. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
So, after this video, we can step back far enough and it becomes super clear that this story doesn't just belong in Northern California. Long before Bigfoot becomes a household name in the United States, I stretched the page and it fucked up my spot again. Long before Bigfoot becomes a household name in the United States, people in other parts of the world are already telling stories about figures that sound uncomfortably familiar. In the Himalayas, communities have long spoken about what later gets labeled as Yeti, not as a novelty or a monster, but as something associated with specific terrain, high altitude passes, glacial valleys, places where human presence feels temporary at best. When Western expeditions arrive in the early 20th century, they don't introduce the idea, they stumble into it. Reports from climbers in the 1920s and 1930s describe large footprints in snow at elevations where animals aren't expected to travel easily. Sherpa accounts don't frame these encounters as shocking, though. They're matter of fact, sometimes cautious, sometimes dismissive of outsiders' excitement. Very much like, yeah, I'm glad you think it's cool. Shut up, this is serious. And the Himalayas aren't the only place that this has happened and happens. In parts of Russia and Central Asia, stories of the, I think it's Almasty, right? Maybe have circulated for generations. In Australia, there's the Yowie. In Indonesia, the orang pendek. I'm not totally sure on that one either. They aren't identical, though. So the stories aren't exactly the same. Some emphasize the size, while others focus on movement or sound. Some figures are described as shy, while others are curious. Some are avoided, respected, and so on. Treated as rare wildlife rather than folklore is the crazy ones, which is crazy to think about. That they're just like deer. Like you think about seeing a deer, be like, oh yeah, I just saw a Yeti or a whatever the fuck they call it, and wherever you are, you know, that's wild to think about. Yeah. But when people hear these stories side by side, there's often the expected pause. Not because the details line up perfectly, but because the shape of the experience does. Brief encounters, a sense of awareness, something seen at the edge of human activity, not deep within it. And that recognition doesn't settle anything. It just opens the possibility that in very different places, people have been noticing something similar and choosing not to rush it into a category that feels too small.
Yeah, so the orang pendek, I had read about that before. They're actually reported to be small, like 3 to 5 feet tall. So, but they still are like the Yeti and Sasquatch, that they're ape-like creatures that they don't have any explanation for, and that walk up on 2 feet, and or people rarely come across even their footprints, so they don't know for sure if they're real. But I'm like, how do you have such a scientific name for something you don't know for sure exists?
That is a good point.
Is there like any video footage of them or photos of them? Because like you think about it and you're like, okay, 3 to 5 feet, like could be monkey, could be an orangutan, could be something in that category, and it just walks with a different gait or different posture.
True.
Yeah, so I didn't come across any actual, like people saying that they got video of it, but they do look more ape-like than even I think that the Sasquatch depictions do. They look more like a monkey, but with like some of them that show that they have longer hair, but that they do just walk on their two hind legs and not whereas a monkey uses all four appendages to get around.
I'm skeptical hippo eyes.
Well, to move on, after the Patterson Gimlin film circulates, I'm so glad I was able to pull it up, the story doesn't end. It just changes pace. The media attention eventually fades, but the material doesn't go anywhere. The film still exists, as we know. The casts still exist. The report doesn't vanish just because people stopped arguing about them on television. By the 1980s and the 1990s, a different kind of involvement takes shape. Instead of chasing new sightings, some people return to what's already there. They dig through old case files, track down original witnesses, revisit locations that have been written off or forgotten. Thomas Shea is one of the people working in that space. Currently, Shea has spent decades examining Bigfoot reports, hoaxes, and physical evidence, especially in the Pacific Northwest. He isn't approaching it as a believer looking for confirmation, and he isn't trying to close the book either. What interests him is where explanations almost fit and then don't. When Shea talks about the Patterson Gimlin film, he treats it like a stubborn object. You can argue costume design, you can argue anatomy, you can argue motive, money, and timing. All of those arguments get you somewhere. None of them get you all the way there. The same thing applies to hoaxes. Some collapse immediately. Some admit to it. The materials just don't always hold up, and the story can end cleanly. But others fray instead of collapsing. They leave pieces behind that don't slot neatly into either explanation. Those are the ones that keep drawing attention. People working in this space don't agree with each other, and they're not trying to force agreement. One leans toward biology, another toward folklore, another toward layered explanations where misidentification, hoax, and something genuinely unknown might all be operating at once. What they share is a willingness to keep sitting with the question, though.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that nobody's truly found evidence of them because, I mean, our forests, kind of like the ocean, are largely unexplored. There's so much of the vast forests in that area of the Pacific Northwest, and even, I mean, hell, even in the Northeast, that is just so inhospitable to humanity that we would never go there. So it makes sense that that's where they would hide out if they are still out there. So, and then too, I think that there's no backing right now for like a major investigation into their existence. Just like with UFOs, nobody's willing to put out the time, effort, and money to research that kind of thing because they're like, we have too much shit going on here. We'll worry about that when they land on our front yard. So.
I don't know. There's got to be some millionaires out there. If the dude from Blink 182 is like invested in UFOs, and then that like multi-millionaire, quasi-billionaire bought Skinwalker Ranch and has like people on staff all the time, there's got to be stuff going on. The question is, if they find stuff, is it prudent to actually produce that evidence and say, hey, look, or do these people see it in its natural habitat and go, probably better left untouched? We leave that thing alone.
One of the things I saw about that, I forget the name, and I saw this briefly, so I'm not quoting anything or whatever.
Cite your sources.
Right. I usually do. There's a man who spent most of, if not all of his adult life tracking Bigfoot, just aggressively searching, and maybe the end of the thing I never finished watching. But in the end, he suddenly is like, nope, Doesn't exist. Out of nowhere, and then just never talks about it. So it's like you spent all your life and you went on all these expeditions and you found all this evidence, and then suddenly, never mind. That makes me feel like you found out they're like humanoid, and maybe you're like, oh, you have a whole ass like family and shit. I don't want people trying to kill you. And they're like, I know, I'm trying.
It all hit too close to home. Yeah. That's the thing is like the people that invest in these passion projects, they truly become like engrossed with what it is. And yeah, I mean that seems like UFOs is something completely different. You know, that could be world safety and whatever, but something like this, like you can get invested. You know, you think of the guys who's the guy that got murdered by his pet bear?
Oh,
like his
right.
he had like he raised a bear from like found a bear cub and was like, oh, and raised it into a giant ass bear, and then one day the bear did bear shit and just killed him.
So sad.
Not surprising.
You know, but you get this attachment to what it is, you know, and that could be, that's like the biggest what if about, I think, Bigfoot as a whole, because there's, like you said, there's so many stories in so many different regions of the world, and so many places where it's revered and respected, and the lore is more like legend than it is conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Rant over,
completely.
sorry.
No, that
Yeah,
was,
it's
I
great.
really liked that input. And I agree by the thing, but by the time you reach the end of this story, nothing has been resolved, like you were saying. But the forests are still there. The roads are still there. The casts, which is cool because they like actually casted all the footprints, and they're all sent to Shay, the guy who's studying it and has it. Like you go into his lab and there are all these drawers, and he'll pull out and say what's from what region and what was proven to be fake. And it's really interesting to see him talk about. But all of this still exists, just as incomplete as it ever was. Some people are still working on it, like we talked about. Others step away without ever feeling they really needed an answer, which is kind of, I guess, where I am. And some never stop thinking about something might be there in the first place. That possibility isn't proven, but it isn't ridiculous either. And that's where I leave everyone tonight before we move on. So
Yeah.
I know we
don't
already
know.
kind of
It's
talked
still-
about thoughts, but do you have any others
Yeah.
now you want to add in?
Yeah, I still think that it's definitely something that we just haven't figured out yet. But I don't know, just a quick callback to the UFO thing you were talking about. There is a documentary called A Tear in the Sky, which is about a woman who got financing to do a study off the coast of California. So that one you might be interested in watching. But well, I really don't know. I would be excited to see that guy's research, and I'm definitely interested in watching the stories that you talked about and his documentary to see what he's found so far. But Dan, do you want to get into your book that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah. So I looked for stories, and I looked through like I wanted to go real stories first, but they're so incomplete. Like you were saying, Kira, like they're just speculation and little tidbits. So also though, they were super boring. I'm like, where's like the murderous animal? Like in my eyes, and maybe that's how the media's painted it, is Bigfoot's either a killer or he's this dopey dude you hide your beef jerky from. Like I think Harry and the Hendersons, or I think of the Jack Link's Sasquatch. But also I have kind of two media examples of where my favorite tales of Bigfoot come in. So I had an audiobook that I read called Rogue by Luke Phillips. And yes, I said I read an audiobook. soon.
I was going to let you have it.
I was just gonna let it slide.
Listen,
Call
I
yourself
have an
out.
hour and a half of drive time every day to and from work total. And so I have book series and all kinds of stuff. But Rogue was fantastic because a forest ranger is assigned this case to like figure out these missing persons cases across this national park. And all of a sudden, government officials start showing up. And then a camera crew starts showing up for like the paranormal exploration type shows. And it turns into something so much bigger where, to what you were saying, Kira, they were almost humanoid. Where parts of the book are narrated internal monologue by, you know, the Bigfoots in question. Bigfoots.
Sasquatches.
The Squatches in question. And basically like they have a family and there's a hierarchy and, you know, there's like the teenager that is trying to like usurp the father and be the alpha and it's a whole thing. And they're just so much smarter. And, you know, there's a rogue faction that is a little more murderous. And there's the normal, you know, group that is just leave us alone and let us be and live our lives. So it's really cool. And basically the government had been housing them and monitoring them and like kind of restricting their areas. But yeah, that's my favorite depiction. I wish there was like a movie based off of it so I could see my visualizations and compare them to like what, you know, they decide. And then also, if you're a Sam Elliott fan, there's The Man Who Killed Hitler and then The Bigfoot.
Oh.
If you've ever seen that movie, it is so fantastical and insane. So basically, Sam Elliott's character actually killed Hitler. Hitler didn't kill himself. And then later on, the government kind of comes to him. They're like, hey, man, we're going to need you to do one more solid. And he's an old man, and he's going after Bigfoot. Because Bigfoot's doing crazy predator shit. So those are, to me, it's kind of like, I think I like thinking of it as something a little more grandiose because the truth is probably way more boring. And I'm okay with boring in reality. Like I'm glad to think that they're another species or maybe an offshoot of humanity or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. But also like, let's get crazy. Let's get a little crazy here. So yeah, that's my favorite, you know, stories of Bigfoot. I again, the truth is too well guarded or, you know, too boring, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think my fear of them finding them, if they, you know, were to ever actually find one, is that they would capture it and put it in captivity. And like, I'm not a fan of zoos for exactly that reason. I'm like, those creatures have families. Let them be. Take pictures, post that shit online. Just let them be. They don't need to be trapped in cages when, you know, we take up more space for the parking lot than they get to live in. So, but at any rate,
100% agree.
That's why I like the San Diego Zoo, because it is truly just this expanse, and all the critters are all living together as they would normally, besides the ones who eat each other. And I thought it was really nice to see.
Yeah, I like open parks like that where they, like the one where the ostrich bit your hand.
It was an emu.
Emu. She was trying to feed it, and it jabbed her hand with its beak, trying to get the food.
They said, put it out like this, and I did, and he's just like, sit. And then, like a month or two, no, I don't know, sometime later, the same hand in the same spot. Rye says emus are bastards. See, exactly. In the same spot, a sea urchin bit me. Who the fuck gets bit? But you were there. It was when we first went to go see that school, the marine biology school.
Oh, yes.
Right. We're going to like
Campbell
tour
Park.
it, and it hadn't opened yet. And they're like, oh, you want to see a little sea urchin thing? I'm like, yeah. Puts it in my hand. Little teeth are down there, like little octopus teeth. And it pinched me. And I was like, what? And today, what the fuck? But like,
I was too tasty.
I was little and angry. And I'm like, why is everything like this part of my hand?
I don't know. You're just a tasty girl.
Yep.
Well, I did find a couple. I'll read at least one of mine. This one is from CM Hammer 1996. They posted it 3 years ago.
Not MC.
And they say, let me move it over here so I can see it better. Sasquatch Bigfoot sighting near Juneau, Alaska, summer 2010. I thought I'd post an encounter a buddy and I had near the Eagle River outside Juneau, Alaska. It was summer 2010 and my friend and I were at summer Boy Scout camp. We were 14 at the time. It was the last day of camp and the staff had us play after dinner Find the Camp Counselors game. We basically had to let the counselors run out into the woods and then go find them. This is summer in Alaska, so there's still plenty of light out, although it was getting later in the day. My buddy and I stuck together because we thought we'd have better chances of finding the older counselors. That way, most counselors were older teenagers or young adults. Partway through the game, we saw a counselor behind a tree, so we started chasing. They ran to the nearest dirt road, so we chased them. Following them around a bend in the road, we lost him. So we start heading back down the road the way we came. On our right side, where the woods are that we came from when we were chasing the counselor, and on the left was a field probably 300 to 400 yards across, and then the ocean on the other side of the field. I happened to notice a person walking up from the beach on the other side of the field, and I found that pretty curious. It was a warmer day for Alaska, so I was surprised to see that they were wearing what seemed to be a lot of dark clothing. It should be noted that the field tapered to a narrower width in the direction we were moving, which is the direction the person I spotted across the field was heading as well. This meant they were gradually getting closer to us as we moved down the road. As I kept watching them, something just didn't seem right. They were still quite a ways off, well over 200 yards, but I could tell they just looked different. It wasn't until they started getting closer that I realized what seemed so different. They were super tall. My buddy noticed them at this time, and we started watching more intently. This is about a minute or two after initially spotting them, although timelines are a little fuzzy. The figure changed course a little bit around this time and started heading into the field. Directionally, it looked like they were heading for the forest and mountains at the far end of the field. After a minute or so, they were close enough for us to see it was definitely not a person. A quick note, from 13 to 14 years old, I had a huge growth spurt and hit 6 feet. I had grown into a size 13 shoe. So now the grass in the field was waist level on me. And that figure walking through the field, we could clearly see the break in their legs. Their crotch area was well above the top of the grass. We could also start seeing that the person wasn't just tall, but hulkingly huge and hairy.
Wait.
I didn't know.
My headset cut out. What the heck?
Uh-oh. Do, 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 do. I told you we need that ring, that sound.
Oh my gosh, why is it doing this? Ah, I'm back. Okay.
Okay, cool. All right.
Anyway.
So
this guy's crotch is like 3 feet off the ground.
So the kid is saying that he's 6 feet tall and the grass is at his waist level.
Right.
And that the Sasquatch or this creature he's seeing, that his waist is like a good 2 feet taller than what the 6 foot kid's is.
It reminds me of Futurama.
Yeah. So he says, I didn't know much about Sasquatch at the time other than the name, but I noticed a lot of the now more commonly talked about physical features. Slightly conical head, broad shoulders, and traps that seemed to converge on the head with an absence of a neck. The arms were extremely long, hands almost reaching knee level. It didn't look overly furry, but it had extra shagginess around the head, shoulders, and upper back, almost like we have hair. And it did appear to have some kind of mane. I don't know if it caught our smell or not. We were about 100 yards or less away at this point, but it suddenly took off running and disappeared within 10 seconds or so into the woods at the end of the field. It moved lightning quick. And that's what really caught us off guard. There's no way in hell either of us could have attempted to catch that creature at the speed it was moving. With it gone, my friend and I immediately went back to our shelter and retrieved my cell phone. We returned to the field and actually were able to locate some footprints. It wasn't too hard to find them given the trail of trampled grass the creature had left in the field. We took a few photos of the prints out of curiosity, and if I can find my phone from that time, it should still have those photos on it. What I can say is that the prints dwarfed my size 13 shoes. After considering my height, the height of the grass, and how the grass measured up to the creature, we figured it had to be at least 8.5 feet tall. I personally haven't talked much about the experience, but from time to time, my buddy, who I'm still close with, we do talk about it. I felt a lot better having him there because I wasn't sure how I'd feel with an experience like that with no one there to confirm everything is same as me. Some things I didn't experience noticed in this sighting. Any nasty, skunky smell from the creature, vocalizations, eye shine, fear, feeling of doom, running on all fours. I know these are characteristics that are sometimes, some more than others, reported during Sasquatch sightings, and I'm assuming certain factors of my personal experience can explain why some of these weren't observed. Regardless, that's my sighting. Thanks for reading.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. That was my favorite one of all the ones that I found.
I think
on the riverbank and there's Squatch just walking towards you.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Doing his own thing. That's so strange. And I know that this is a weird part of me, but if the crotch is so high, can we not assign a sex to it? No, we've got to have just big ass balls swinging around or not,
So then maybe it was a girl.
Is the grass tickling?
I know everyone. I know many other brains went that way too. It's that's too high.
Yeah. The minute you say the word crotch, I think you're automatically,
I immediately am like,
there are two paths in a road.
It would stand to reason. It would stand to reason if they could see its crotch that high above the grass, then it clearly didn't have genitalia that they could identify, which would lead me to believe that one is a female. Plus, it's walking down the beach. That's a girl thing.
Hey, men like long walks on the beach too.
Not by themselves, typically.
Oh, especially by themselves. I have 3 kids. I need to walk alone.
Solid point. Very good point.
Me and Squatch were just hand in hand, and crotches getting tickled by grass.
I think there'd be more than your crotch tickled by grass if this is almost 9 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm 6'2". What a weird flex though. My size 13s and my calm down there, kid. You're from Alaska. Chill out.
Yeah, that part too is warmer than usual. What do you mean? It's always relatively cold.
Well,
warmer than usual,
there.
62 degrees or something, maybe. I don't know.
Probably a hot summer day for them. I don't know. My husband's 6'4" and he wears a size 16 shoe. So,
well, thank you for making me feel insignificant. Yeah. I'm sorry. As a taller person, when I meet people taller than me, I get super uncomfortable. People that are taller and bigger. I played sports that involved height, so I always dreamt of being 6'4", 6'5", and I feel less of a man. I could be standing next to another man who's 5'7", and then someone 6'5" walks in with broad shoulders, and I'm like, oh, yes, sir. I turn into a beta. I'm like, where's the cuck chair? It's awful.
I known many men that have a similar experience. Many tall men, if there's someone taller. Anyone over 6 foot and above. And those who claim 6 foot and they're not quite 6 foot. They all are just I hate this so much.
Oh, the ones that are 5'10" and a half, but 6 foot on Tinder.
Yes.
Yeah, I get
6
it.
foot on Tinder.
The thing is, when I was younger playing sports, I wasn't intimidated by that. Like that was my drive, is like, I'm going to make this big ogre like my bitch. But then once I went into like the real world and had to deal with life, the director at my site, he is like 6'5", former sniper, like all the cool shit, like the manliest man to ever man. And I'm just like, yes, sir. Yes. Yep.
Whatever you say.
A funny thing I find about a lot of tall people is that they're afraid of heights.
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you want to get up any higher?
I guess that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Stand on a 6-foot ladder when you're 6 foot, whatever. Like the view is exponentially higher.
That's fair. I guess as 5'1.5", I hadn't considered it that way.
Yeah, I was 5'7". I am no longer. I'm shrinking. But growing up, I was always like the tallest of all of my friends. So it always felt weird to me to meet taller women. And then I would wish I was as tall as they were. But I kind of hated being the tallest person of all my friend groups. But now I'm 5'5", so I no longer claim that.
So it's different for women. Although it shouldn't be. But I cannot stand the random flashbangs that are happening with my camera. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, my wife's 4'11", so like when we hold hands, we look like the Nick Jr. symbol from back in like the 90s.
Yep.
So
I knew exactly what you meant.
I'm like, you want uppies? Yeah. Yeah. What a cavalier way to tell a story, though. Like, so just walking on the beach with my buddy and
chasing around our camp counselors, because this is a weird game.
Yeah.
Man, when you said the camp game, I got a little worried. Yeah. What kind of camp we going to here?
Yeah, it was a little.
It was Boy Scouts.
That's what I'm saying. The camp counselor Gary might be a little.
How many kids are in the Boy Scouts in Alaska? All of them? But how many kids?
Probably.
Like the whole state comes together for their little.
I was gonna say, like, you're born an Eagle Scout though, because
right?
you're already in the shit.
College application from Alaska. That is all.
Yeah. Because by the time you're 10 or 11 years old, you know how to hunt, fish, build a house.
Yeah, you already built your hut for ice fishing. So, like, my thought is though, like, with how the other thing that blew my mind was how, like, this person is like, I didn't really know much about Sasquatch. Like, how are you a teenager and you don't know Bigfoot, Sasquatch, any of that?
It's just the hands. The what?
There's so many questions. I feel like I just watched an episode of Lost. Like, I have more questions at the end than I have answers. Like, right? What do the numbers mean? What's the smoke monster really there for? They're dead the whole time.
That's amazing.
Spoiler. Yeah. Cool story. Great story though. Like I thought the delivery, whoever wrote it, real or fake, delivered it in such a way that it was engaging throughout. So kudos to
y'all wanna
CM Hammer.
Read my last thing we can. It's gonna add we're probably gonna discuss for like 15 minutes total, and then I think that'll be the rest of it.
That's cool.
Okay. So this is actually a deleted user on Reddit, and it was posted a year ago. And I also included a follow-up at the end where I'll just read it. It's fine. So the original question is if you've seen a Bigfoot or had a personal encounter and people want to know about it. So this person says, or what made you believe more? That's what it was. What made you believe more if you didn't before, or if you did and a little extra? So this person says, mine. For an all too brief period of time, my friends and I lived a lot like every kid in a Spielberg movie. We were feral Gen X kids in ye old early 80s. I lived in Harford County, Maryland, and on a Friday in early summer, two friends and I decided to head to the Winters Run River, where we swam constantly in the summertime. We knew it very well. We decided to camp and took our Coleman 4-person tent, 4-person tent. I've spoken English before, and blankets and such. We didn't have much in the way of gear, but when you're young, it doesn't matter. Jimmy was oldest, there was Will, and me. At the time, there was a large, to me anyway, farm ending at the river. Yes, at the river, and ending in a cliff that we jumped from to swim. Crossing the trestle would take you to the wooded side with a much better bank on the river, suitable for a tent, which is exactly what we put up. We lit a fire on the bank and just swam and did kid stuff. No devil's lettuce or booze, we were just being dudes. At some point, I realized I don't remember how long 2 things happened. The sun was going down, and we were hungry, having eaten whatever we brought. We had a few dollars and decided to walk back along the tracks to a convenience store to get a couple of boxes of Little Debbie snack cakes or something. Anyone else remember the box of oatmeal pie cookies for 99 cents?
For sure.
With our feral kid provisions and starting walking back, the sun had gone down considerably, and because the tent was against woods on a low bank with a cliff on the other side, it was pretty shadowed. What I remember is that we were about halfway across the trestle. I felt Jimmy's entire arm hit my chest, forcing me to stop. I was on the right, Jimmy in the center, Will to his left. When I looked at Jimmy to get the what the fuck out of the way, he made a shh motion with his hands and pointed down at the tent. We were high, but whatever. It was walking around the fire slowly. Whatever it was walking around the fire slowly. That was difficult. It was big. Not just big, but very big and bipedal. I could see the top of the tent below its hips as it moved around. Below its hips.
Yikes.
I stared at it.
Crotch was on the tent. No.
Yeah. I stared at it. I think we were quiet. Time froze, so I really don't remember if we watched it for 10 minutes or 45 seconds. But it seemed like forever. We watched as it explored, but it never made any attempt to get into the tent and seemed kind of obsessed with the fire. Fear eventually took over, and we ran, asses and elbows, to Jimmy's place, where the adrenaline rush was able to finally fade away. All we could do was talk about what we saw. Yeah, there we go. This is in my notepad, and it's in that annoying font. My brain's like, what? We went out the next morning, all around the tent, in mud, sand, rocks, or whatever. It was obvious something big had been moving. Very large depressions were visible everywhere, and as you might guess, the stuff we left was unmolested and exactly as we left it. Adult me would have gone into the woods. Young me gave that idea a solid hell no. We quickly packed stuff up and got it home. We never crossed the trestle again. We did go swimming, though, and the summers went on as they do, but we never went into the wood ever and never left the group. It's not a great story, and I've never told it publicly before. It is something that makes me watch shows and read from time to time. Like others here will probably tell you, once you see something like that, you take those images and memories with you everywhere you go. It's haunting. And they had an edit about spelling and stuff, and that's also part of what helped my struggles happen. So in the comments, someone was unsatisfied with the lack of description. So the OP actually replied to it and said, I did bury the lead, didn't I? LOL. My sighting was in that shadowed place, so my description is going to be muddled. My view about 25 feet above and about as far away. It stood some indeterminate height, but the tent did give context, so it had to be at least 7 feet tall. How tall is this tent? I could see flashes of what looked like fur around the legs as it moved around near the fire, but there is little else I can offer, I'm afraid. I guess no, that makes sense. The tents are like 4 feet high.
Yeah, but for its...
At its waist.
If it said it was at its waist?
It was hip or waist. Hold on.
It's hips. The hips don't lie, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hips. The tent below its hips.
The tent was below its hips, so at its crotch.
Right. So they just didn't want to say crotch. We got someone who
Didn't they say also they don't like we weren't doing anything crazy, no devil's lettuce. And
then
then
they said
they
they're high?
responded with, we're high.
Yeah.
I think they meant they were up high.
Yeah.
Not that they were high.
Oh, altitude.
They were-
I thought,
So-
okay, maybe
like-
crystal meth. Like they went a whole different route.
No, because he later said that he was at 25 feet away
25.
and 25 feet up. So
Right.
they're at the kind of a downward angle looking down at it. So that elevation high, not
Yes. When I read it too, I was like, moving
Wait a
on, I
minute.
guess. And then I finished the paragraph. And I was like, oh, okay. Wait. I got it.
You were high up.
Elevated differently.
Yeah,
I thought that one's pretty
Hmm.
interesting.
that was pretty cool. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, especially if you've been in that area like enough times that you know it like the back of your hand and then randomly boom, squatch.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
some really big hairy dude is just like
Either way, creepy.
just
Not a
walking
good idea
circles
to be
around
there
your fire.
alone.
Are they high? You know, like,
Maybe.
maybe they're just tripping and looking at the fire.
Entirely
It's just
possible.
a vagabond, a rogue wanderer. Just like, oh, this fire's pretty cool. So I'm curious what your guys' thought is on this. Like, do you think that, like humans, you know, like different regions of the world have different looks, they have different, you know, like height and all kinds of different stuff, coloration, whatever it might be. Do you think that is that like the Yeti, the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Wendigo, all that stuff is the same species but different like nationalities or races of that species?
Yeah.
I would think so.
'Cause I mean,
The lore behind it's a little different. Like Wendigo's a whole different story altogether, but like in
Right.
the end, it's pretty much looks like Bigfoot or a Yeti or the abominable
Yeah.
snowman.
I
but
can't
the-
think of
the
it any
Yetis
other
are
way
white.
though.
Yeah.
That's what I because you know you think of like the regions or the locations where they're spotted,
Hmm.
like Pacific Northwest, hyper dense wooded areas that are fairly inhospitable for people, you know, or the mountains, Snow Peak Mountains, where you like it makes sense if you think of like evolutionary theory in
Or
how
even like bears. I mean, you got polar bears that are solid white with black noses. You got black bears and you got brown bears and
I would say foxes is what I can't. The Arctic fox.
foxes too.
It's like-
yeah.
Mhm.
That's all I can think.
So they develop to their environment, just kind of like everything else does.
Goldfish again. They came back.
Yeah.
Full circle goldfish. Full circle in
they
a
call
fish
that a
bowl.
callback. Yeah, what about, and maybe I'm just stretching it a little bit, but like the remake of Planet of the Apes with James Franco,
Mhm.
they were in like Northern California, right? The Redwood Forest, and then
Right.
it like went into, what if it was, a colony of ape-like,
The missing link
chimpanzee,
kind of people.
that kind of stuff. Well, no, like maybe these stories happened because maybe there was a testing facility and
Oh, I
the
see.
whole thing kind of just happened. Like they got away, and now we have these wild.
Well, but sightings go back
primates.
to the 1800s and 1700s, so I don't see that being logistically accurate.
Okay,
I mean,
you got me there.
Yeah. Unless it's the aliens are testing, doing experiments on it, on the
that's-
monkeys, and it's
can't-
a whole different.
Oh,
path to
it
go
maybe-
down.
aliens.
Maybe that's it. And we are the success of the product, the quote success of the product. And then they're like, shit, we didn't catch them all. We got to get rid of all the
Yeah.
old ones.
Oh,
We'll just start
I'm
throwing
not going
all
down
of
that
these
rabbit hole.
together. And just...
oh man. But I would guarantee that all this stuff does somehow tie together.
Mhm.
Like everything for us evolutionary wise and Yeah, aliens and cryptids and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think we're going to cover more cryptids. It's pretty fun. Because
Yeah.
you get to be a little more relaxed. There's less research. It's more like fun. I mean, there's research still, but
Chupacabra and like the Jersey Devil too. That's another one that has some really good lore to it. I want it all to be real. I don't care how scary it is. I want it all to be real. I want vampires to be real. I want every bit. Oh my God. I read Interview with a Vampire, and I did actually read that one. No one read it to me. And I was like, yes, this is what I want. I want to be turned into a vampire at the peak of my being and be that forever.
Is that you right now? Are you at the peak of your being?
No, for sure not. That I read it 22 years ago. So yeah, now I'm just old and trying to survive and chase kids.
Chase kids.
That's it. I just want to be able to chase my kids. But no, I love all of this stuff because all of it's rooted in some form of truth. Mm-hmm. Like even just in normal life, like stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. You know, these stories are created based on some shred of truth that either evolved or, you know, what do they say? When the legend becomes bigger than the story, print the legend. Like that's.
But I mean, that's what we just talked about last week too with the Warrens.
Mm-hmm.
So the devil made me do it. Like, yeah, you see how shitty they are about that. But in this case, in the specific one, no one's like super hurt except.
Did you see Matt Rife, the stand-up comedian, bought
their house?
I did not know that.
But he didn't like buy it. He like
he did. He bought the Warrens' house.
He did, but it's not like it doesn't seem like maybe it's the museum portion that it's like a contract deal.
Yeah,
like
he has to. Yeah, which is weird because that whole situation to me is weird because she had to shut down the museum because of zoning laws. That she had a quote unquote commercial business in her house, and she was in a residential community. Mm-hmm. So her neighborhood was like, no, we're not having all this traffic anymore because, you know, that would be obnoxious. You know, people constantly coming to your neighbor's house and blocking the street and parking in front of your house. And
like, bitch, get a bigger driveway.
Right. So they made her shut the museum down. So I don't understand how he's going to continue it in its location because I read an article that said that he's planning to make it where you can actually stay in the house and overnight, like sleep in it.
He got that Netflix money. He has Netflix money.
Like
he
the Borden.
Yeah, but how are you going to do that if it's still zoned residential? That's a commercial
because
product.
He's donating some of that Netflix money. I would assume
probably,
like, you know, he's paid for all sorts of permits and stuff like that. I'm sure the Warrens had money, but I don't think they had like 2026 stand-up comedian on Netflix kind of money.
Stand-up comedian. Money.
Yeah. I mean, they sold a lot of books and they made a lot of money from the Conjuring movies. So they weren't doing bad for sure. But
they got royalties from that?
Yeah. All of them.
They definitely spruced them up too, though.
Yeah, all of the movies are based on their research, not the family's.
Plus the fun, a little extra shit. I said they should make a documentary from the actual family. What is it? The daughter who's left, but it would be Conjuring the Conjuring, but from the family.
Yeah, from the original Conjuring movie. Right. The Perrin family. The oldest sister actually has stage 4 cancer right now that she's fighting. Yeah. But she wrote books about their actual experiences in that house. So I definitely think that would be cool to see. But you'll have to make sure you tune in next week because next week I'm going to be talking about unidentified anomalous phenomena and the military records about them. So
that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
I love that rabbit hole so much. I cannot wait.
My eyes hurt from reading the FBI files.
Yeah, she texted me. She goes, "Does .mil mean it's a military website?" yes. Why? And she's like, I'll tell you tomorrow.
Oh, those are my favorites because like TikTok really did a great job like showing clips and highlighting the actual congressional hearings.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like,
Yes.
tell me more.
Love this.
Like this guy's
Tell
not going
me
to survive the
more, tell me
week, but I
more.
want to hear what he has to say right now.
Get him to talk more about it because they're going to off him soon.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't found the original whistleblower has not been seen since that congressional hearing. I forget his name, but like the guy who originally was like, I was contracted, I was part of this department, you know, whatever. My thought is this, like as human beings, I think those that deny the presence of like the spiritual realm, like ghosts and cryptids and the unexplainable and aliens in general, is one of the most irresponsible thought processes, to think that we are it.
Yeah.
That like me and my Yorkshire Terrier are it in this world. Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, people also think the world is still flat, or is flat, not still flat. It was never flat.
I mean, it has to be flat because how does everything stay inside the ice walls? Oh, I just should wear a tinfoil hat at this point. I don't even hide it anymore. Hey, just please talk to me about all the things that sound ridiculous. I'm here for every bit of it. The real world as it is so crazy. You know, and that's not a political statement. That is just like, I look back at the last 40 something years of my life and I'm like, holy shit, all the stuff that's happened, that the things that are sound crazy, they definitely have to be true. Please let them be true.
Yeah. Like the Cuban Missile Crisis, with that wasn't what it was, and everyone's conspiracy theories were real. That shit drives me nuts. All those things, like when people find out later that conspiracy theorists were right and people still doubt everything they have to say later. I get it. I get that there's reason to hold back belief because you don't want to be fooled. No one wants to be bamboozled, but there has to be other stuff because of all the little specks of dust in the galaxies and universes. How are we the only one that sustains intelligent life?
Well, we could give the blanket easy answer. That would be stupid, though. But
it would be stupid to think that that is the case, that we're the only ones. That's
but
wild.
I really got interested in the moon landing being fake. Like that fascinates me when the head of Space Force does his press conference and he's like, how cool is this, guys? First time landing on the moon, like, right? And it was dead serious. Like he let it slip, but he just rolled with it. And I'm like, wait, it's 2025 and you're saying, and then you look back at all the interviews with Buzz Aldrin and he's just like, yeah, we never did it. It never happened. I was never there. Like, what? You know, there's so many people that died with their families being like, well, Uncle Dave was batshit crazy. Didn't even think the space landing happened. And you find out like that's always been the case. It was something else was going on that we felt we had to construct that. But they breeze right through it.
And there's also, though, that they claimed on that landing that they encountered aliens, though. So are they hiding that part? By then saying later that it never happened at all? Like they not only made up the moon landing, but then later were like, hey, we saw this shit. Now that this much time has passed, we can kind of talk about it a little bit. And then those things come out, like all the spaceships they saw around them on the moon. And then later they come out and say nothing happened at all. They didn't even land on the moon.
Oh, I'm not digging deep enough. I didn't even know that was a thing. Well,
yeah. So there's a recording.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
There's a recording of the moon landing, and then it like blacks out for a portion of time. And they're saying that the reason that part is blacked out is because they were communicating with extraterrestrial life.
Because there's a delay in those broadcasts from when they receive it to the rest, just like live television, so that you don't say fuck on the air.
Yeah.
Or show your nipple.
Yes.
Janet
I'll show my nipple $5. I'll do it for free. So
10 subs.
how long? Not even. I wish that were the case. I don't. What was the delay though? Like, do you know? Did they ever like say what the time frame is, or have you guys read that? How long the delay was from space to?
I don't recall. But I mean, it's still not. There's still like even today when there's broadcasts from the shuttle to Houston, there's still a huge delay from when they receive the information. But it's not even just that there's that delay. It's like they black out the film.
Oh, the broadcast delay. Yeah,
recording.
no,
They block out the recording from what the public sees. The public information is like, oh, like there's 18 minutes of film where it was just snow and you couldn't see anything, and then all of a sudden they come back and the picture is perfect. And
it says when the planets are at their greatest distance, the delay can be about 24 minutes from from the International Space Station.
The technology though, like back then, was good enough that we could do that.
Yeah,
that's the part that I'm like, you could broadcast from the moon down to Earth, video and audio. But FaceTime came out when?
Yeah.
Like 2007?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm like, new technology, FaceTime. No, we kind of did that though. Like, wasn't the like, that's what I don't understand is where was the actual leap in technology that allowed that to happen, and how long have we, or has NASA or whomever it might be gatekeeping, the technology to broadcast video in that way?
I mean, all this stuff has to come out way ahead of time. You think about, I was going to say maybe television and stuff, but beyond that, you think they have to privatize and then personally, as individual parts of an industry, figure out FaceTime and figure out videos and phone calls, and that takes so much time. And then brand recognition takes time, and suddenly
R&D,
there's FaceTime.
And of course. I don't know. I'm a skeptic about just a lot of that stuff because it just doesn't make sense to me.
That's what this podcast is.
Yes.
The back and forth. No debates, just talking about it. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't have an argument. I just have things that confuse me a little bit. I'm just kind of, I don't know, like NASA being specifically like exploring the ocean first, and then one day going, fuck that shit. Look at space. Like,
I want to know too.
Right. The ocean's too scary. Let's go to space.
Why is the ocean that scary though?
Right.
No one's like, hey, let's go on vacation and jump in the air and hang out in space for a while. They're like, let's go swim in the ocean, where NASA was too scared to continue exploration.
Mm-hmm. We've explored more space than we have ocean.
It's wild to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Considering space is infinite.
Right. Yeah. Which terrifies me. Just the thought of, like, would send me spiraling as an 8-year-old. Of like very distinct memories of lying in bed. What do you mean there's no
end?
Yes. And I was like, she's like, it just goes on forever. But it can't do that because forever is not real. It's like, so like.
Forever is a construct.
I was really into encyclopedias. I was that kid. I read all of them. Mm-hmm. Cover to cover. And especially the space and the sharks. My favorites.
I'm actively avoiding sharks. The older I get, the more I have an inherent fear of what goes on in the ocean when I'm out there.
Scared of dolphins.
Yeah, when you're snorkeling and see a stingray, it's as big as you are. That is a wild experience.
Yeah, snorkeling's not in the cards for me. Like boogie boarding maybe in the Jersey Shore, not snorkeling.
Jersey Shore.
I'm in
Kentucky. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I love it all though. Like, let's get crazy. What multiverse? What about that? What about the fact that there's another universe where this conversation is going on, except I'm screaming at you guys?
What do you mean you don't believe me?
Just screaming, just yelling for no reason. Or another one where the minute we went live, I just sat here. But there's like so many permutations. It's infinite. That's why that's why I love comic books, because Crisis on Infinite Earths with DC was like, there is an Earth for everything. For everything. And I truly believe that. I really think that is how it is. Again, I think there's that shred of truth in all of that fiction. In every bit of everything you guys talk about, there is a shred of truth that leads to that. And sometimes it's just portrayed as less than it really is.
I want to do a Mandela episode like that.
Yeah, when you look at the older comics and stuff and you see stuff that was in those comics that is now a part of our everyday life, and you're like, how did he know that? Just like 1984, he talks about walls of TVs and not knowing how to explain that because he didn't have the words to explain it. But he talked about that in 1984 that was written in 1950 something. Yeah. When he walked into his apartment, the entire wall was a moving screen that showed nonstop video, and that he was constantly being recorded. How does he have that information back then? And we now have that technology.
Or was that a fear of his?
Well, that's the Black Mirror episode where have you seen that?
Yeah, where the whole room is like video, and if he stops looking at it, it stops playing.
And yells at him. He has to either pay money that he's earned to skip it.
You can't go to the next. Yeah, you can't go to the next episode if you don't watch. Do you ever watch that Black Mirror episode? It was a couple.
I haven't. I don't know if I've seen that episode though, or if I remember it at this point.
It's so heavy.
Yeah, it was like they had to ride bicycles to earn money to live, basically. Yeah, power their reality. And
I have the 75th anniversary edition of 1984.
I have the cover. She made me a bookend that looks like a book, and I took the cover from that book to put on it.
So, that's cool.
I don't know if you can see it behind me. I think
it's
the
copyright.
So you guys have two pieces to the whole.
Yeah. The copyright is 1949.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, we've passed.
TV was just new at that point.
Yeah, we've passed though Back to the Future. We've passed Marty McFly's future self already.
Yep,
it's wild. This is a good book for anyone who hasn't read it. 1984. It'll freak you out.
Highly recommend. Yep. And the Giver series.
Yes.
So many people know about the Giver, and they don't realize that there are actually 3 more books. So you have to read all 4 of them. It is so good.
I'm so many people. I did not know that either.
Yeah. Yes. See, she has the quartet.
The quartet.
Yes, I read the whole thing. It is fantastic.
Yep. I have all the books.
And it's on Audible, so you can listen to it on your way to work.
I don't feel triggered at all by that. I'm highly literate, guys. What was the Gattaca? And that was what, Brave New World?
Oh shit! I forgot about Gattaca.
And then wasn't that what it was based off of, though?
Maybe. I just remember the legs cutting part. That's what always. I was like, I need to be taller. No. No, you don't.
Well, not even that, but like just basically saying like, all right, so we want to have a kid. Here's what I want.
Yeah.
Do.
I mean, you kind of do that now. You can.
No, I'm cool. I'm good.
It is not based on a specific book, but draws inspiration from real advances in genetic science, like the Human Genome Project, not product.
Hold on. I'm not completely crazy.
I just Googled it.
I know. I'm Googling too.
I'm Googling my memory, though.
Brave New World. Gattaca is an original screenplay, not a direct adaptation of a book, but its dystopian themes of genetic engineering, often compared to Aldous Huxley's 1931 novel, Brave New World. Okay. All right. And I said the right thing without having to read it. I'm not completely crazy. Miss Greenleaf, thank you for making me read that book.
My English teacher made us watch the movie in class, and I was so bored.
We watched the movie in class, too.
We watched it after the book. Thankfully, she had us read the book first. The movie's better.
I typed
more entertaining, more engaging.
So I can read it.
I don't know. It was so slow.
Yeah. But I remember the brother's name was Anton.
That is a cool
Don't know
name.
why.
I remember him constantly vacuuming up his skin bits
Oh,
so that he
yeah.
wouldn't get caught.
Jude Law.
They
yeah.
talk about that.
Oh no, Jude Law was the one he was pretending to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got like
I
off
think
the
so.
pillowcase and stuff, right? The skin cells. That reminds me of Travelers. This is just going too far. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever watch Travelers?
Also, without that movie, we have no Stranger Things because that's where Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke met.
Wow.
that's crazy. Yeah, you're just full of
Have
fun
a great
facts.
night, everyone. I'm out.
So is Uma Thurman 11?
No, Maya Hawke, the one who worked at the stand with Steve,
Mm-hmm.
and then was in like she was the one who was the lesbian in the last season. I don't know if you guys watched the most recent season.
Yes.
Yeah, Maya Hawke. She is the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, and we don't have that
Amazing.
character without the movie Gattaca.
Wild.
Butterfly Effect.
Yeah.
Love that movie too. I watched it at 12, should not
Yes.
have, and stared at
Yeah.
the TV screen for like, as the light fizzled out, like no more,
You know what
no
was
more
so
aura.
crazy?
And then like 20 minutes later, I was just like, she walks in the room and I was like, I did a thing.
Contemplating everything.
So what's crazy is that my husband had never seen that movie, and I was talking about the ending, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And so we watch it. Like it was on one streaming service or another, and the ending that was on the one that we watched was not the ending on the VHS that she watched.
Right.
And I was
Saw the
like,
director's cut.
the movie was over, and I was like, "Wait a minute, that's not what happens." So
Right.
I'm like searching the internet trying to find the real version that I watched, that she watched, and it's a wildly different ending.
I've never seen
Which ending? Where he offs himself in the womb?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the director's cut. I've not seen the original or the non-director's cut, which I guess is not the original.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
That's it.
Yeah, the one that was released to theaters has a happy ending.
Oh, yeah. I think
Mhm.
Butterfly Effect is where my enjoyment for things that don't have happy endings comes from, because I appreciate, and I also appreciate French films in general, because they also don't believe in happy endings. They're just like, not those anyway, but like they're all old school comedies. I know, but I just went there.
How French people are. I wasn't thinking of that. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean that's the same vein though. You just IV to the same one, so swap out the hose. But yeah, I like that it ends more realistically and shitty.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream. That was the movie where I stared at the screen and the DVD like menu looped, and I was just like,
"What?"
Yeah, everything. I didn't know. I was freshman in college, and it broke me for a day. Just throw a bunch of people with ADHD in a room and let them talk. That's where we're at now.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. But so we are going to wrap it up right there so that our Spotify people aren't pissed off at us later. Dan, will you remind people where they can find you on the internet?
You can find me on Kick mainly. It's at ElCapiDan. And then my socials, you just add an extra I in there. So like I Captain. So TikTok and X, ElCapiDan, ElCapiDan. That's me.
Nice.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. We had a blast. This is
Thank
definitely
you guys.
the
This was
longest.
awesome. So much fun.
The longest special guest episode for sure, in the best way. I'm so excited to listen back to everything and laugh again. So go ahead and follow Dan if you don't. And I went ahead and put a shout out in chat already. And we appreciate all of you for liking and sharing and commenting. So
and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah. Until then, stay curious,
stay strange, and keep listening for the
Liminal Echoes.
Please follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Liminal Echoes Pod, on X at Liminal Echoes _. Or if you have any questions, comments, or story suggestions, you can email us at liminalechoespod@gmail.com. And Twitter is dumb because we couldn't have Liminal Echoes Pod because it's one letter too long. So that's why it's underscore.
Yeah.
Go like and follow all of the things, and we now have a dedicated Liminal Echoes Pod Kick and Twitch. So also go like and follow all of those things.
Yes. And we're streaming to YouTube now too. We are just on top of things.
Yes.
All the places. So exciting.
So exciting. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. And Dan, it was great to have you. I hope to see you again soon. And we'll see you next week.